There is only one true, immortal essence of reality, the Creator, the incomprehensible and the fearless. Before all beginnings and after all endings, beyond time, space, form, enmity, and free from the cycle of births and deaths. The self-manifested, the loving, merciful enlightener, realized with His grace through total submission to His will.
The Sikh faith is a very new faith. Out of the major religions in the world, it's probably the youngest religion. It's just over 500 years old, 535 years this year. So it's a very new and progressive religion, especially when we consider all the other religions. Of the 5 or 6 major religions in the world, this is the only one in the last 500 years. All the other religions are at least 1,000 plus years. And therefore, I find it very unique because it takes a lot of the progressive values we have today, such as human rights, equality, into perspective, and they form the actual backbone of the religion.
Guru Nanak Dev Ji is the founder of Sikhism. At the time when Guru Nanak Dev Ji started preaching at a very young age about Sikhism, there was the mighty and the weak. The weak prayed to God for help. And I feel that's when Guru Nanak Dev Ji came. Guru Nanak Dev Ji preached to the general public. From the general public, people followed Guru Nanak Dev Ji's message.
The first are the 3 basic foundation principles that Guru Nanak laid down, the very first Sikh Guru, which is you first must meditate upon God. And meditating upon God means realizing in yourself that you have God within you, that all of us have God within us, and respecting our bodies with that. I mean, if your body contains God, then there has to be a level of respect for your body. If you recognize God within yourself, you recognize God within other people, within you or him or whoever else is around. And so then you will serve those people like they are God. The second thing is working honestly and working hard. And Sikhs have always been very enterprising, very successful people because they believe in a strong work ethic. And the third is sharing your wealth. And so Sikhism wants a world where people can live with their basic human necessities, that people aren't needing of food or housing or clothing, that everyone is given what they need, even if they can't work for themselves for whatever reason.
Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th master of the Sikhs, in 1699, the month of April, he held a ceremony where he introduced baptism to the Sikhs. And the rules of baptism for Sikhs, they are supposed to keep their hair unshorn. They had to keep the hair clean because hygiene is very important in Sikhism.
Today, our Guru is Guru Granth Sahib Ji, the scriptures. The Gurus brought the message from God to the people. That message today in the Guru's form is in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, the scriptures of the Sikhs.
Farida raat kathuri vandiye suttiyan mile na bhav जिन्ना नैन नींद रावले तिना
The Gurus wanted to give us something that we didn't have to change for other people, and we could just live a simple life and not have to change our hair, change our appearance, and we'd be happy with the way we look.
A Sikh's identity has been distinguishable because we wear all the external features so the world can see that this is who we are. If you put today's generation, a majority of the generation that don't have the Sikhi Sarup or the Sikh identity, if you put them in a line with 5 or 6 different Indians from different backgrounds, different religions, no one would be able to distinguish who is who. And one of the main reasons that Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj gave us this Sarup is that so if we ever in our lives take the wrong path, decide to do something wrong, that this Sarup should be something that should guide us away from it.
We're supposed to be very humble people, us Sikhs, and we wear turbans and we wear something called gurbans, and as well as the 5 Ks they call them.
They begin with the unshorn hair, which is tied in a rishi knot or in a bun on top of the head. And for most males, they wrap it with a turban around, and some females, and that's a new thing, where a lot of the women in the Sikh faith have adopted to wearing a turban. They wear it with a turban, which is the crown. It's the honor of the Sikh, and a turban has been a symbol in many religions over thousands of years, and the Sikhs have held it as their crowning symbol. It symbolizes their royalty, their nobility, their social class, that regardless of your caste, your economic status, that you are a king in your own right. It's a symbol of Sardari.
The Ganga, the wooden comb in the hair, is to keep the hair tidy and clean, and to exercise the scalp, to massage the scalp when you're actually combing the hair.
Indian brides usually wear glass bracelets when they get married. And people think of the relationship between a Sikh and a Guru almost like that of a lover. And so when your husband dies and you're an Indian bride, you break your bracelets against the wall in fear and anguish and in pain. And so because the Guru never dies and because the Guru always lives, you wear an iron bracelet that can never break, which I think is a very beautiful metaphor. And it also, of course, serves a practical purpose that back when Sikhs used to have to sword fight, it would protect their forearm from the blows of the aggressor. So everything always has both purposes.
The 4th kakat is a kashera, which is the short briefs that all male and female Sikhs wear. The trousers that symbolize the grace and honor that one must live by, and always being noble to the opposite sex, noble in your sexual relations with everyone.
Kirpan, the word is kirpa on. On means somebody coming for protection, for health, and kirpa means help or mercy, and it's a symbol to protect people. It's not that you are to fight with anybody. Guru could have introduced the guns because guns were available at that time.
I'd lived around Sikhi, and I'd kind of like, my parents were Sikh, so I wasn't really that into it. And, you know, my mom used to put my turban on for Gurdwara and everything, and we'd go, and I'd be like, so Mom, why do we wear our turbans? And she was like, well, honey, it's because you're a princess of God. And I was like, really?
As a kaur, as a princess, every Sikh woman takes the name princess. What does it mean? It's not just some ritualistic thing. It really means her identity is a princess of spirit, a princess of God, most graceful, most loving. And so the turban is basically her crown. My turban is my crown. And it helps me as I tie it every morning. I put my hairs up over the 10th gate, which is associated with the experience of ecstasy, and use this human body to achieve the ecstasy that is our birthright. God just didn't just create this body and say, here, good luck. God basically gave us a beautiful system of body and subtle bodies to experience Him.
People from the Arab countries have been wearing turbans for centuries before Sikhism came forward. And if you look at the Old Testament actually quotes as saying, once you enter the gates, thou shalt wear linen garments and a linen turban. The gates symbolize heaven for the Old Testament. And that means that, the Old Testament in a Christian religion, in a Christian faith, is saying that one should wear linen garments and a linen turban when they enter heaven. And a Sikh, not only is he to wear a turban in this life, but that turban, in a way you can say that even through the Old Testament, is symbolizing that it's going with you in the next life. That form, that physical form that you have, it's not just in this world, it's in the other world that it's going to carry on with you.
God is with me. I am part of God, and I want to serve the consciousness of others. And one of the ways that Sikh accomplishes that is what we call bana, wearing clothing and attire that reflects what the values are.
A lot of people ask why Sikhs wear a turban when other faiths have discarded it or other people do not. If you look at it today, it's still 500 million people, especially in the Indian subcontinent, when they get married, wear a turban, regardless of their faith. For example, all Hindu males will wear a turban on the date of their wedding. It is a symbol of royalty and nobility, and that's the one day of glory they have. If you look at Muslim saints and Muslim imams, thousands around the world will wear a turban, and it's again a distinctive symbol of that they're of a high spiritual lineage or spiritual hierarchy. For the Sikhs, though, that is prevalent to all, so that anyone has that right and honor to be treated equally, and he himself is a royal king, and that's why Guru Gobind Singh gave that title to all of them, that they're Sardars, which are noble and feudal lords, which is a title usually given to them, and he's given every Sikh that title. In fact, even Sikh women the title of Sardarni. So the others, the turban is symbolic in many faiths. In the Christianity, the three wise men who identified Christ as the Messiah were said to be wearing turbans. Muhammad himself wore a turban. Jesus never cut his hair, had a long beard and long unshorn hair. And in fact, in the Jewish Torah, the Old Testament, it is stated that the Messiah that will come will ride from the east. He'll wear a turban and he'll be riding on a horse. So these symbolic images of a turban are everywhere, and therefore Sikhs, right from the tender age of early teenage years, and some even earlier, a kid will start wearing a turban.
I wasn't born to live in the culture of India or the culture of Punjabis or Sikhs, but I was born to live in the tradition of the Sikh Gurus, Guru Nanak through to Guru Gobind Singh. And so I began to learn more and more what that meant and what the teachings of Sikh Dharma were. And one of the things was wearing a turban. From the first time I tied it on my head, I realized, whoa, this is natural. It's not like it wasn't my baseball cap. It wasn't anything. It was like my crown. And I didn't fully understand it intellectually, but I felt it.
As you'll notice, I'm wearing a turban, just like my husband is, and I've felt no discrimination or any prevention by anyone in the religion to allow me to wear a turban. I really wanted to wear one, and I did. And you'll find that a lot of women these days do wear a turban. A lot of Sikh women do. The young generation as well as the elder generation.
I'm the only student in my school who wears a turban, and I am very proud to be one of very few students in this religion who wear turbans. And personally, I believe that my prophets, my gurus, they sacrificed so much in history to preserve our traditions, to preserve our turbans, our humanity, our dignity. And so we show this by keeping our turbans. This is basically a gift from our guru. So we believe that, that we should preserve our honor. And so our guru, a couple hundred years ago, came up with a martial art, and it's called Gatka. This martial art is completely different than any other martial art out there. Actually, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, and I can tell you truthfully that Gatka is something far beyond the masters of Taekwondo.
The Sikhs know how to trust God. This is the basic teaching of the Gurus, how to trust God. And when you very deeply trust God, life flows very beautifully from there. And Sikhs know how to do that.
For people in other cultures, turban is a geographical or a cultural thing that once they emigrate to another country, they leave behind. But for Sikhs and Sikhism, a turban is an integral part of your religion, and so you can never be left behind regardless of where you go in the world. And just as I may have been born here in Canada, for me, my turban has always been something that's been a part of me. Now, I wear it because I have a full faith in my religion, and my religion dictates that I have to wear a turban, and for me that's enough.
I grew up in a society where my uncles, my aunts, my cousin brothers, everybody had a turban, had their hair, and we were so proud. And we understood that we are not too young age, we were given this feeling that we are not to cut our hair. It's so important to us. Young kids today, it's very different. I sometimes feel sorry for them because they do not know, but I know as a grown-up person. The society at large in the North American culture, they do not see the value of turban.
As a mother now and as a Sikh woman, I am trying to teach my daughter all the principles that I was brought up by and all that I've learned since then. and I'm hoping that in the future she will also be a strong Sikh woman. That requires a lot of hard work on my part, because for a child, the mother is the first guru, and everything the child's going to learn from their mother in their young years. I want her to have what I've had, and for her to share and learn the love for the religion and for the gurus that I have and that Randeep has as well.
I think the future for Sikhs in Canada and in the West in a whole is very bright. There are many Sikhs running for office in the U.S., in the state of Louisiana and Indiana. So there's Sikhs running for the Republican Party, the Democrat Party. There's Sikhs running in Canada for the Conservatives, for the Liberals, for the NDP. And therefore, I think the future is very, very bright.
I don't think that wearing a turban or having a beard is something that's awkward. I think it's more of a sign of pride. And it's something very graceful to me. And I get a lot of people telling me sometimes that you look very graceful, you look very beautiful wearing a turban or having a beard. I think it adds a certain dignity to yourself.
This blending now of the East and the West cultures is a miracle, because there's many things in Indian culture that are extremely noble and wonderful. And then some of those things have gotten kind of perverted and very abused. And the same in Western culture. There's many things that are wonderful and strong and noble, and there are many things in Western culture that are horrible.
करता पुरख निर्भय निर्वैर अकाल मूरत जुनी सैभं गुरपुरसाद एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निर्भय निर्वैर अकाल मूरत जुनी सैभं गुरपुरसाद जप आद सच जुगाद सच है भी सच नानक होसी भी सच जप आद सच जुगाद सच है भी सच नानक होसी भी सच